Hello, I'm not Chuck, and today I want to talk about tires on travel trailers. In September of 2017, my wife and I pulled our StarCraft 17RD travel trailer on a long trip cross country that included Yellowstone National Park. It was almost 4,000 miles and was the longest camping trip we had ever made. When I had bought the trailer used, the previous owner had just put new tires and wheels on it, so I felt confident that I wouldn't have any tire trouble on my trip. And I didn't until we were about 300 miles from home on Interstate 40, when I had a blowout. The situation was made worse because there was a guardrail right at the edge of the shoulder, and I barely had room to get the trailer off the road. And then I had to sit with my rear end practically in traffic while I changed the tire. It was no fun whatsoever, but I did it because there really wasn't much choice. I don't have any video or photos of the actual event. I was pretty busy. But you're looking at the wheel and tire that I took off the trailer. As you can see, it is quite a mess. There was also some damage done to the trailer itself. As the tire came apart, it dented the siding on the trailer and bent the wheel well trim. It also tore a hole in the underbelly lining in the insulation under the floor of the trailer. This video was shot after the new tires and wheels were already installed. This is the passenger side tire from the trailer, and it's the mate to the one that blew out. It is an ST tire, which stands for Special Trailer, and it's a 6-ply tire, 4 plies in the tread and 2 in the sidewall. It's a load range C with a maximum weight capacity of 1,760 pounds when it's inflated to 50 psi. If an ST tire isn't otherwise marked, which this one is not, it's rated for a maximum speed of 65 miles per hour. This tire is very similar to the tires that came on the trailer when it was new. After we got home, I really looked closely at this tire, the tire that didn't blow out. As you can see, it shows some wear on the outside edge and extreme wear on the inside edge. Meanwhile, the center of the tread shows very little wear. That's a classic indication of underinflation. By the way, both this tire and the one that blew out were manufactured in April of 2016. My trailer is a single axle, so it only has 2 tires on the ground, and the total load rating of the tires is 2 times 1,760, or 3,520 pounds. The base weight of my trailer is 2,905 pounds, and since I tow it with a pickup truck, which carries most of the gear, the trailer is lightly loaded and is well within the stated load capacity of the tires. Now, before we even started our trip, I inspected these 2 tires for signs of damage due to wear, accidents, sun exposure, anything I could find, and there was no damage visible to me. The tires looked as new as the previous owner had said they were. I checked with my local tire shop, and the guy there recommended inflating the tires to 40 psi, which sounded safe to me and is what I did. As it turns out, that was wrong. So if the tires were that good, why did I have a blowout after less than 4,000 miles? I did a lot of research and reading, and I think I now have a pretty good idea. But first I need to explain that I'm not an expert on tires or travel trailers or anything related, so what I'm about to tell you is just my opinion and should not be considered as advice on what you should do. In fact, you should do your own research, consult some experts that you trust, and make your own decisions. I believe there are 5 factors that contributed to my blowout, and I will list them in no particular order. Number one, the tires were made in China, where quality control is different than it is in the United States. My personal opinion is that many products manufactured in China are often not as well made as they would have been made in the United States or much of the Western world. Now, don't forget, I'm not an expert. Second, I underinflated the tires to 40 psi. They should have been inflated to 50 psi or maybe a little more. Thirdly, when I inflated the tires to 40 psi, the ambient temperature where I was 70 degrees Fahrenheit. But the ambient temperature in areas where I drove to, the mountains, dropped to 20 or 30 degrees less than that, which resulted in even worse underinflation. Number 4, I neglected to inspect and check the pressure of the tires at regular intervals during our trip. And last, the rating of load range C tires was too close to the weight of my trailer. So what have I done differently in the hope of reducing the chances of having more blowouts down the road? First, I bought 3 new tires, 2 to go on the ground and 1 for a spare. They are load range D, rated for 2,040 pounds each, and intended to be inflated to 65 psi, and they are constructed of 8 plies. Secondly, I had the tires equipped with high-pressure valve stems. Third, I went so far as to have the tires mounted on brand new wheels. Fourth, I had the tires inflated to 65 psi with nitrogen. Nitrogen is less affected by changes in temperature, so the pressure stays more constant. Fifth, I had the wheels and tires balanced. And last, and maybe most important, I promised myself that while traveling I would check the tires daily for wear and for proper inflation pressure. Note that the new tires were also made in China. At the time I bought them, I couldn't find any 14-inch ST tires that were made anywhere but China. If you know of any that are made in the Western Hemisphere, please leave a link to them in the comments. I have also included some information about the materials I use to repair the underbelly of the trailer. The black material is polyethylene and is supposed to be waterproof and a rodent deterrent. Because it was so thin, I glued 2 layers together before installing it under the trailer. The spray adhesive is called Stay Put, and it worked well. I also used some very sticky tape, especially made to seal the seams of the polyethylene. All this is available online. Just search for RV Underbelly Repair. I bought the insulation from a home improvement store, cut it to fit, and glued it to the bottom of the trailer floor. I will offer some advice on generally being prepared for flats in an RV, regardless of what kind, travel trailer or motorhome or whatever. In addition to having a good spare wheel and tire, maybe 2, I recommend you carry a couple of extra lug nuts that fit your RV's wheel studs. Lug nuts are easily lost during the process of changing a tire, and spares are cheap insurance. A 4-way lug wrench is a great tool to have available. Besides fitting a variety of lug nut sizes, the leverage offered by its shape reduces the arm strength required to loosen lug nuts that may be very tight. I used the scissor jack that came with my pickup truck to jack up the travel trailer, and while it worked, it was far from ideal. Since then, I bought a small floor jack and am carrying it on every trip, along with a sturdy block of wood big enough to fit under the jack. Well, that's it for this video. I hope I have given you some information that you may find useful. If so, please subscribe and give me a thumbs up. And of course, your comments are always welcome. Remember, I'm not Chuck.